Yeah. I found this cartoon again with this pyramid of power. Actually, they call it pyramid of tyranny. But I think it shows it so well what we are dealing with today. Since I found it, I was actually looking for it. Had a hard time finding it, but I'm glad I found it. And again, I want to talk about it. I made a video not too long ago. Didn't get as many views as usually about Trump and Biden and really what's going on with these two clowns and this clown world that we are right now going through. Real clown world. They really think, well, most people don't know it's just a circuit show. Pretty sad, the world power, and America is the world power. It's the world empire, whether you really want to acknowledge it or not. It's the world empire. Russia, no, is not an empire. No, China is not an empire. They're trying to tell us, oh, they are catching up or whatever. But no. The United States with Europe, the NATO is the world empire. I've done so many videos about it that Europe is the beast out of the sea. So, somebody asked me again, I don't know if it was on my German or my English channel, wanted to know about who that head is that was wounded. Well, the head is part of the beast, right? It's the head of the beast, so it's the beast. So the beast was wounded. The beast, what beast? Well, the beast out of the sea is Europe. Europe since the time Rome fell. Classical Rome. When classical Rome fell, this beast grew 10 horns, and those are representatives of the kingdoms, the European kingdoms. 10, of course, symbolic. There's not 10 kingdoms. So that is symbolic because there's still the beast, right? So that Roman foundation, I mean, if you know European history, you know that there is plenty of Roman foundation. Just alone Latin is still considered the language of academia, like science, biology, medicine, religion. Okay? So Latin is still kept. Latin and the classical philosophers or whatever. It's all a continuation of the Roman Empire. You should know that. Of course, many people don't have the historical background. So Europe is built on the foundation of Rome. That beast, that fourth beast, of course, was Rome, the Roman Empire. And it continued through these horns. And of course, there was this little horn on top, and I'm talking about Daniel 7 right now. And that little horn, of course, John saw close up. Okay? He saw it close up in Revelation 17. He didn't see it in Revelation 13. He only saw the 10 horns. But then he looked closer and he saw what this little horn was. It was actually the whore sitting on the beast. So then you think, okay, who is this horn sitting on the beast? If you read the description, and again, I have people telling me all kinds of stuff, If you read the description in Revelation 13, you know who the beast is. It's described very precise. She's dressed in purple and scarlet and pearls and, blasphemy written all over her. That is not, a lot of people say, oh, that's Judaism. No, it's not. Judaism is not dressed in purple and scarlet, has a lot of pearls. No, they do not do that. Okay? They may go along, they may be a whore of the major whore. Okay? They are. They are whoring around with Babylon the Great, the big whore. The big whore gets its power directly from Satan. Okay, as always. You can get back with this Babylon the Great all the way to Babylon, Persia, Greece, Rome. That's the religion of all four empires, really. So it's not, Judaism. Judaism didn't start until, I think, probably Babylonian captivity. That's when they started the oral Talmud. And, of course, they whored around before. But who did they whore around with? They always whored around with the idols of the surrounding nations. So whoever big nation there was, Babylonian, Persian, Greek, whatever the other nations were. Okay, that's the idols they whored around with. They didn't have their own idols. They didn't even come up with their own idols. Okay, they didn't. And they continue to mix these religions, these paganism. Well, they didn't even mix it. They just replaced really the true teaching of Moses and the prophets with their own religion. See, when they lost the temple, many of them didn't understand that Jesus alone is the one, the Messiah is alone that will save them. God alone is the one that will save them. So they had to create their own religion because they thought this system that Moses gave them is what saved them. And then when it was gone, they had to come up with something new. But of course, that wasn't the case. So when Jesus came, he came hard down on them very hard because they established their own rules and regulations through the oral Talmud, through the oral interpretation, which they later wrote down in the Talmud. So this is all coming out of their own, the religion comes out of paganism, the major religion, which is founded, of course, in Babylon, all the way back to Babylon and Nimrod. And I have done videos about that. If you need more information about it, if you don't have it, there is, I think I just mentioned it recently, and I put it in the link, is, I think, Babylon Mystery Religion. Could be the title. Again, I will put it on the bottom if I think about it. You should have probably downloaded it. It's free on archive.com, and you should know the history. So you don't get distracted by thinking, oh my goodness, maybe Judaism is the Babylon the Great. No. It goes all back. Judaism is a whore. Okay, is also a whore. But she's a minor whore. She's being used by Babylon the Great, which is papacy. She's used. There is no doubt in my mind. The state of Israel today is used by not only Babylon the Great, but by the beast. Israel is part of this NATO beast system. Okay? So I hope you do understand that. And then again, somebody said, well, how about when one of the heads was wounded? What was that? Well, that was the First and the Second World War. If you know First and Second World War, that is when Europe was absolutely wounded. And in order to protect Europe, the beast, from somebody else taking it over like Russia, they had to bring in the United States. And because of that, the United States became an empire, the leading empire. And now the United States is trying to, let Europe take over a little more because they don't want to do everything, especially not financially. So this is where we are today. This is the pyramid of power. Now, when we go back to this picture that I posted on the front of as a thumbnail in the front of my video, we can see the pyramid of power. And we can also see who in the United States is running it. Okay? And that could apply in every country, really, that is a NATO country. The same two-party system. In other countries, it's more than two, but they're always carrying the same pyramid of power. It doesn't matter. Like in Germany, they have right now 3 parties working together to lead the country. And I think it looks like in France they're going to do something similar. It doesn't matter. They're always carrying the system. They're always carrying the deep state. They're only the visual part of this power system. In the States, we have the Democrats and the Republican. We know that a third party, we don't even have a third party. Okay? Well, we have a third party, like the Libertarian is a third party, but they never make it anywhere. So it's like, what are they good for? Well, they're good for at least some kind of voice, I guess. And then this year we have Kennedy running. I think he runs as an independent because he couldn't run as a Democrat because he is a Democrat, but they wouldn't let him run because they wanted Biden back. At first, of course. Now they're screaming, oh no, I'm not even sure if they're really screaming that they don't want Biden back or if they're just pretending like they want everybody to know that they don't want him back, but in reality, they really don't care. Remember, the party is not the one that makes the decision who's going to be president. Yes, there may be a power struggle going on. The people that don't even know who is really behind the scene and who is really the shadow government. Yes, there's always going to be this struggle. They make it look like, of course, their party needs to win. They need to be in power, like it really, really matters. Again, who is in charge? It's the beast system. The United States has been the beast out of the earth, Revelation 13, since the time it became an empire. A beast is an empire. Was it a beast before? I don't know. Remember, it says it spoke like it looked like a lamb with the 2 horns, but it spoke like a dragon. At first it was innocent. Okay, was it? Of course it was. Maybe prepared from the beginning or groomed from the beginning to become this empire by, of course, Babylon the Great. It's very possible. Again, Babylon the Great is the Vatican. Behind the Vatican is Satan. Satan has been planning all this. He's been planning the beasts purposely. They didn't just happen. Especially the beast, the fourth beast with the horns. Satan was actively involved in creating that. He was actively involved in creating all these wars, actively involved in damaging that first beast so the second beast could come up out of the earth beast, which is the United States, or the false prophet. And they're all being used by Satan. So people think, oh, we are a Christian nation. No, that's all a facade. Especially today, people. Especially today. How many times am I pointing out that we hardly have any true believers left? And I know people don't want to acknowledge that. I know it. Nobody wants to admit that they're not really truly following Jesus. Oh yeah, we're Christians and we're going to church and we're deacons and what else? Okay? We're giving the 10th to the church. We are supporting our pastor. All these things that we're doing. But that does not mean that we're following Jesus. Because we cannot follow two systems. That's something that took me a long time to understand. I cannot follow this world system and I follow Jesus' system. I can't do that. So when I realize, and I know a lot of people don't want to realize that, because then they would have to make a decision. Once they realize that this system that we're in right now, the political system, is the beast system. Here in the United States, we are the beast out of the earth, the false prophet. People, we don't need to wait for an antichrist. Every president, I would think at least since Abraham Lincoln, okay? Since Abraham Lincoln, has been part of the system, and they have been put in place on purpose. I don't think we had any free elections again since Abraham Lincoln. I always mention this book, 50 Years in the Roman Church by Charles Chiniquy. I will put a link on the bottom as well, because there is a free copy on archive.com. I would recommend you read that book. 50 Years in the Roman Church. Charles Chiniquy lived during Abraham Lincoln's time. Matter of fact, he knew Abraham Lincoln personally. He was his lawyer. He was a priest in the Catholic Church, and he knew exactly what was going on during that time in the Catholic Church, what they were planning to take over the United States. Okay? And I recommend that book. It's very thick. It's a very big book. It can be boring at times. And so you have to read it and really find the things you need to the information you need. But I recommend it because it's so important to see behind the scene what has been happening, since Abraham Lincoln, 150 years, I would think, and how all parties were infiltrated by, let me say, the Jesuits. No doubt. I can see that in the Democratic Party very clearly. Very clearly. Democratic Party is not what it used to be. Not at all. It, when I listen to Biden and he constantly, the lower class, middle class, whatever, and he is in the upper class, and he, is he one of these billionaires? Is he? Does he have any idea how these people on the bottom are feeling, or what they're going through? He could say, "Oh, there's so many changes in healthcare." No, they didn't. The people on the bottom, they have a hard time with healthcare right now. No, it's not fixed. And he has absolutely no idea what's going on. Why? Because he is not in our shoes. He is up there. He is one of the billionaires, maybe not way on top, but he works for them so he can get more and more money. And he acts like he is really in the business of the people when he is not. We already know, we knew, hopefully most people knew, Republicans are capitalists. They're in the business of making money. And if you make money, you exploit people unless you have a very good character. And so that's why I always stayed away from Republicans. Because it's a good thing to have free markets and all that. But when you have free markets, other people can be exploited. And that's exactly the case that happened in the United States. And really, the government is the one that's supposed to protect the people. And that used to be, the buffer used to be the Democratic Party. They're not doing it anymore, people. Oh no, they're blabbering like Biden. Oh, we're doing something for the people. No, they're not doing anything for the people. I defeated, one of the statements he had, I defeated pharma. He continues to give pharma money. I mean, no. The Democratic Party has been hijacked. By wealthy people or puppets of the wealthy. They give them more and more money, and then they work for the wealthy, for the shadow government, for the elite, whatever you want to call it. And this is what we have today. And we need to wake up. What's there to do? I think we need to, as Christians, true believers, and that's very many, there are not very many, that's very few people. We have to refuse to vote because we cannot serve two masters. We can't, actually not. If we serve this system, we are not following Jesus, because we should know this system is of Satan. And by this time, we should know this system is the false prophet. No matter who is president, is the false prophet. No matter who. Okay? We don't want a president who has dementia. We don't want a president who is a tyrant, which of course I think Biden is. He is, not just has dementia, but he's extremely narcissistic. And people always say, oh, Trump is narcissistic. Yeah, he probably is narcissistic because they are all narcissistic. Because they're all thinking about only themselves. There is not any politicians that think about the people. Well, maybe Kennedy is at least slightly thinking about the people, but he is not making it. Because the shadow government, the ones that are behind it, are not allowing it. Because everything is in the hands behind the actual politicians. They're being bought through money or sex scams, which I have already addressed. They are either that or they're being kicked out or killed or whatever. You have to go along with the system, or else you have to leave, or you're going to be killed, or they're going to use you, they blackmail. No, the system is in place, and it is Satan's system. And we have to understand that. And if we start thinking and knowing it's Satan's system, we cannot vote. We cannot support it. I think I have voted one time, and it was a couple of years ago when the abortion was on the ballot in Colorado. And I think at that time we had abortion to the 5th month. And are we happy with that or not? So I thought, well, that was a good thing to vote for. And guess what happened? Shortly after that, they upped abortion to the 9th month. And I thought, you know what? That is the last time. It's the first time I voted, and it's the last time that I'm going to vote. Because there is not a thing we can do. Now listen to this. Most Christians are in the minority. Again, true believers. Even if you have Christians that are so-called Christian, right? But many times we're still in the minority. That means democratically we are not winning. You know, people always say, oh, you know what, democracy, and we're supposed to be voting. We already know in this state how many, in Colorado, right, how many Democrats we have, how many Republicans we have. We are outvoted. That's what a democracy is. I do not agree very much. Yeah, okay, we need it for some things, a democratic process, but in a democracy, the majority rules. And the majority can say, hey, you all going to take the shot. Okay? Really, legally, that could happen. If we wouldn't have our basic rights, right? Our amendments, our Constitution, that's what would happen. So we have basic rights, fundamental, rights. And because we have that, nobody can outrule that. But people, we vote by a democratic process, and so people in the majority will win. That means people that may be tyrants, people that may not agree with us. And that's the system. That's the beast system. That's what we're having right now. And the question is, can we really support it? Should we support it? I don't think we can do anything. If we really could make a difference, yeah, I can see it. I can definitely see that it would be good, to say, hey, these are the people we want in there. But again, the presidents are not voted in by the people. We've seen that for years now. The last election, they're screaming, it was a fair election. When was the last election fair? You go back. Seems like every election there has been something screwed up. I just want to remind you of the one in Florida years ago. Was it between Al Gore and Bush or something? And Bush did win. Al Gore, of course, was paid out. I'm almost certain. So he would keep his mouth shut. Oh yeah, they do that too. They wanted to have Bush at the time, and they arranged the election so he would win. It was in Florida at the time. Yeah. Why was Al Gore quiet? Because they gave him money. I'm almost certain. I can't prove it, but I imagine. People, I'm coming to an end. I wanted to make this video because my last video, nobody wanted to listen too much. And we need to wake up. We need to wake up. Let me know what you think about this system. And let the Holy Spirit guide you always.